You know, I thought it would be easier the more I talked about leaving MAGA, being a 3-time Trump voter, but I have to be completely honest with you that it's not getting easier, and it actually feels like it's getting more difficult.
And then here comes the tears. Look, here's the thing I don't think y'all realize is that it's too late. You voted for him 3 times. He's already been in office twice now. It's too late to take back your vote. It's too late for you to be sitting here crying to us when so many people's lives have been changed because you voted for him 3 times. And then you're mad because you're not being accepted. But what did you expect? You expected just open arms in the community that comes in? Oh, you voted for him 3 times. It's not your fault. Come here. Did you expect us to forgive you? For what? You've ruined lives. You're crying because you're not being accepted into a community when you voted 3 times for people to be kicked out their communities, physically removed from the country, in fact. And that's where I'm lost at. What did you expect? The damage is done already. He can't run again. So for you to say, oh, I finally woke up, you woke up too late. This is like us telling you, don't drink and drive. And we're telling you this for years and you continue to drink and drive. And then you cost somebody their life because you drink and drive. And then you get on this internet talking about, guys, I'm sorry, the sober community doesn't want to accept me. Yes, because we've been telling you. We've been telling you for years not to do it, and you still did it. Then you get on here crying about how you can't get away from the mean comments and so not accepting you into the community. But guess what you can do? Turn your phone off, go outside and go live a normal life. But guess what millions of people can't do? They can't go outside. They can't go to work to feed their families. Heck, they can't even hide in their houses. But boo-hoo, it's me. I'm the victim. I'm the one that's being mistreated here. Like, what type of backwards way of thinking is this? And for some reason, we're just supposed to accept you with open arms and positivity. For what? For what? What are we accepting you for? And that's what I don't understand is why we're supposed to accept you. Why? Somebody has to help me out with that because I don't get it.
A white woman who voted for Trump 3 times got on this app bawling and crying her eyes out, saying that she didn't understand why so many people were being so mean to her as she's no longer a Trump supporter. And I cannot tell you how much that fills me with absolutely fucking rage. That is the literal definition of white women tears being weaponized to somehow point to her as the victim. She literally says, I don't understand why people are still being so mean to me when they can go to my page, they can see how hard I'm working, they see that I'm doing the work. Yeah, you're doing the work 12 years too late. Now, are we happy if you're genuinely deconstructing and changing your views? Yes, I will say that we are. However, you don't get to police other people's reactions when we are left dealing with the fallout of your decisions. You voted against human rights, hoping and thinking that they would never affect you. And now that they have, you are in for a rude awakening. And I hate the rhetoric of, we need to be so nice to these former Trump supporters. If you are genuinely doing the work, I think that's great. But you don't get to paint yourself as the victims just because people who have already been negatively affected by the policies that you voted for aren't exactly rushing to kumbaya with you.
Here's the thing. If you're a 3 times Trumper and you're one of the people who voted us into the mess that we're currently a part of, and you're now just starting to regret that decision, I don't think you get to come out and post that on the internet and try and recenter yourself in the conversation. It's your opportunity to sit the fuck back and listen to the people who have been anti-Trump since a fucking decade ago. But instead you come online and now you're trying to garner sympathy from people because you've been a moron. Sit back, amplify the voices of people who have been on that game since day one, and shut the fuck up.
For many Americans, especially those who feel that they have been affected by certain policies over the past years, forgiveness is not something that comes easily. The pain caused by political decisions is not theoretical. It is deeply personal because families have been separated, lives have been lost due to ICE activities, communities of color, they feel targeted, and the consequences of those policies are still being felt even today. So for many, the wounds are still so fresh.
I'm sure you've seen this video at this point. It's going around. It's another woman talking about trying to deconstruct from MAGA and talking about how difficult it's been, essentially to find a safe place. And I want to try to talk about this in good faith, but I also need to talk about it with the gravity that it really deserves. Because in her video, she essentially talks about, she reads a comment from another person, basically saying that she sort of feels this way. This other person says about their trip through deconstructing MAGA and how they couldn't find any safety in the left, even though they thought that that's what the left wanted. And now they're just going to do their own thing. And, I'm not going to vote blue, but et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I want to try to do this in good faith, but I need you to realize what was done, because with your vote, you feel so separated from your actions. And here's what is true. When people look at you, they see someone that walked up to them and said, I don't care if your family gets thrown in the trash. When a rape victim looks at you, they see someone that has walked up to them, pointed in their face and said, I don't care what happened to you. I don't care if you have to carry your rapist baby to term. When you look at these people that are struggling to pay their bills, they are literally seeing a human being that essentially walked up to them and pointed at them and said, I don't give a shit how expensive things are going to get, because I don't care as long as I get what I want. And it's because the right lacks this level of direct ability to empathize. You feel like 3 times over, you were disconnected from that. And on the whole, progressive-leaning, left-leaning people, it is easier for us to empathize with the struggles of other human beings. So when we vote, we look at all of the black people that have been murdered extrajudiciously by police, and we say, I am voting so that this doesn't happen to these members of my community again. We see all the Hispanic people, Latino people, and we go, I am voting so that these people in my community don't get harassed. I am voting to protect them. I am voting for every woman, not just the women in my life, but all the women that I will never meet, so that they don't have to carry their rapist's baby, so that if they come to the point where something terrible happens and they have to make that difficult choice, they are permitted to make their own medical choices on their own without worrying about what the state says. So that Muslim people and atheist people don't have to worry about what Christian maniacy some podunk local politician wants to shove down their throats and somehow make legal. But you casted your vote as if it was this far off thing. And those other people, oh, that's the other people. Those the far away people. And so you're not going to get all that much grace from a group of people that in their emotional perspective feel like you reached out intentionally to hurt people in their community because you didn't see any of these people as human beings. And hopefully you will. Hopefully you'll learn to. But no one wants to be your friend because you're like the drunk driver that murdered a family while driving down the road. The thing happened and you realize how bad it was. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Yes, that was a mistake. I never should have done that. Look at the harm that I caused. And you're mad because the rest of the family of the people you killed don't want to be your friend. I hope this is helpful.
I thought it would be easier the more I talked about leaving MAGA, being a 3-time Trump voter. But I have to be completely honest with you that it's not getting easier, and it actually feels like it's getting more difficult because I'm gaining more empathy. And I don't think people really realize how counterintuitive the hate that I receive when you can take one look at my page and see that I am doing the work.
I had to stop that video because this comes from a person, to me, that sounds like they want accolades and absolution more than they want accountability. She's not being ostracized. She's being held accountable. It seems like, this gaining of empathy that she talks about seems to only be seen through her tears, how others are making her feel. She still hasn't found a way to decenter herself. I've gone through her feed. I've looked through her stuff. I've seen what comments she's liked and she hasn't liked. And it's very strategic. She's only liking the comments that are patting her on the back for doing this. But she is not liking the comments. Not saying she's not seeing them. She's not liking the comments that are holding her accountable. I woke up this morning to hearing the consequences of your vote and your choices has now gotten us into a situation with Iran. And while I'm happy that you are realizing what people have been trying to tell you, but what I want you to stop doing, and maybe you need to do some deconstruction offline, out of the public eye, is to stop asking the people that your vote and decisions affected and impacted to emotionally hold your hand and babysit you while you have a delayed awakening. To Liam Ramos, to Dr. Linda Davis, to Keith Porter, to Alex Peretti, to Renee Good, to the older lady on C-SPAN who said she lost 23 pounds because she can't afford to buy food, to the trans community in Kansas who may be facing invalidation of their driver's licenses if they don't match their birth certificate gender. Cry for them. Don't cry for yourself. And your comment section is not passing the vibe check. This is why some of y'all will never beat the allegations. The ones that you're not liking are the very ones you should be paying the most attention to, because those are the people that told you 10 plus years ago not to do it. Learning and understanding your failings and the impact of your votes on other people is your journey. Us not accepting it is our choice. I swear this has been the most exhausting Black History Month in my life.
There are white people going viral right now for their regret over voting for Donald Trump. And I put that word into heavy quotation marks because I genuinely question if they even know what the word regret means. One woman in particular got on TikTok crying a whole theatrical production about how people are not greeting her with open arms, how they're being mean to her in her comment section. Lady, are you fucking for real? Somehow you are the victim, not the millions of people harmed by the very system that you voted to prop up not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. Not the immigrants who lost their family members to deportation or concentration camps. Not the communities of color who have been terrorized by the very policies that you voted to enable. You're the victim because people were mean to you in your comment section. And this tells me everything I need to know about your regret. You're not sorry, you're uncomfortable, and you're confusing the two. You claim that you're doing the work, yet at the first sign that that work becomes difficult, you make videos crying to garner sympathy for yourself. So the emotional labor falls on everyone else again. And then to make it worse, there's a whole slew of people in her comment sections coddling her. Oh, you're such a good girl because you realize that you made a mistake by voting for him 3 times. It's so brave of you to speak up. Then, some of you have the fucking audacity to police how other people respond to this video. Specifically, the people that MAGA spent years targeting. People of color, the LGBTQ community, immigrants. You want them to welcome ex-MAGA with open arms. You want them to perform forgiveness for your comfort. The people that we should all have sympathy for are the ones who have been harmed, not the ones who do the harming and are now sad because everyone remembers. But here's the part that really gets me. Same crying video. She said she won't be voting in future elections. So instead of working to dismantle the oppressive system that you helped build, your solution is to throw your hands up and do nothing but cry online. That is not remorse. That is not doing the work. That's pandering for likes and comments to appease your praise kink. That's demanding forgiveness without actually earning it. Look, if people want to coddle ex-MAGA voters, that's your prerogative. Nobody can stop you for handing out participation trophies. But if you are an alleged regretful MAGA, do not expect anyone to forgive you. Do not expect a warm welcome. Do not expect marginalized communities to throw you a fucking parade. Do the fucking difficult work. Sit with your discomfort. Sit with the fact that people are rightfully angry at you. And sit with the fact that your regret doesn't undo any of the damage that you caused. The only way you will maybe, and that's a big if, be welcomed back into a society that is rightfully skeptical of you is if you spend the rest of your life proving that you are worth redemption. That means voting for progressive candidates who actually want to help people. That means showing up to protests. That means putting your fucking body on the line. That means doing the hard work, even when nobody is clapping for you. Otherwise, save your fucking tears and go cry about it in your journal.
I think instead of coming online and crying about how you voted for Trump 3 times, have left MAGA, and now the left is not fucking with you and people are telling you they don't forgive you, I think you need to go seek therapy. And that is me coming from an empathetic place, like trying to be nice, because the more I see these videos and I see these mainly women crying, and talking about how like they feel like everything has been a lie and their families and this stuff, you need to, one, work on your family stuff, and two, accept that like nothing you do can change what you've done. You know, you just have to accept that. And then also, two, you cannot change other people's opinions of you. And that's like, you can't make people like you. You can't change people's actions. And you have to just accept that even if people don't forgive you, you should still do what's right. You still have to like figure out what you believe in and stand on it. And hopefully, since you guys are coming to the conclusion that, oh my God, this man is doing so much harm. And secondly, it's obvious you guys feel a lot of guilt and shame because you realize that by voting for him, you like indirectly contributed to this. You cannot put it on everyone else who is also going through it but didn't vote for it to relieve you of your shame and guilt. I can't do that for you. Even if people wanted to, like, even if people weren't in your comments telling you that they didn't fucking like you, deep down, you probably would still be upset at yourself. You would still probably experience shame and guilt regardless. I need you also to accept that it's not just on everyone else why you feel like shit about what's going on. You need to go work that out. You need to probably also go and like volunteer and do community work and do things like that to combat all of the harm that's being done, or not all, but like things that are within your control. Obviously you can't stop this man from like bombing fucking Iran, but like do what's in your control, because the continuous like coming onto this app and crying and telling us like acting as if you got swept up by the ocean into hatefulness, it's like you're not gonna ever get the response, especially while this man is still in office, that, oh my God, poor you, we all feel bad, you're forgiven. Like, this isn't confession. This is really bad, y'all. I like, you really just need to go do the work that you need to do with like a professional and keep it pushing, because you can't take the vote back. You know what I mean? But please just stop crying on the fucking internet about how you voted for Trump. Nobody wants to hear that. I'm sorry, nobody.
As this debate continues to grow online, it reflects something much deeper about the way politics affect real lives. Elections are often discussed in terms of campaigns, slogans, and political strategy, but the consequences of those decisions are felt by millions of people in their everyday lives. For many Americans, the political battles of the past several years were not just ideological disagreements. They were deeply personal experiences that affected families, communities, and livelihoods. Policies related to immigration, policing, social justice, and economic decisions all had very real consequences for many people across the country. Because of that, when some former MAGA supporters now say that they regret their vote and they are leaving the movement, the reactions they receive are often shaped by pain that others believe those policies caused. For people who felt that their communities were harmed or even targeted, the wounds are still very fresh. In those situations, forgiveness is rarely immediate. Emotional healing takes time, and trust that has been broken is not easily restored. This is why the responses we are seeing online are so divided. Some people believe that when people acknowledge their mistakes and choose to change their views, that moment should be welcome. In their eyes, admitting regret is a step toward growth and a sign that people are beginning to reflect on the consequences of political decisions. But others strongly disagree with that perspective. For them, regret alone does not erase the harm that they believe has already been done. They argue that the damage from certain policies cannot simply be undone by a change of heart after the fact. For many critics, the issue is not just about apology or even sympathy. It is about accountability. They believe that people who supported those policies should first recognize the full impact of their choices and understand how those decisions affected others before expecting forgiveness. Accountability in this context, that I regret my vote, it means acknowledging the consequences of those decisions and demonstrating a genuine commitment to doing better moving forward. For those who are hurt by past policies, the anger and frustration they feel is rooted in real experiences. Those emotions come from years of uncertainty, fear, and hardship that many believe were made worse by political decisions. And for those now, they say that they regret their support and they are now leaving the movement. The challenge is understanding that trust cannot be rebuilt overnight. Words alone may not be enough. Many people still want to see genuine actions that demonstrate a commitment to fairness, empathy, and respect for all communities. In many ways, this moment is a reminder that political choices carry long-lasting consequences. Voting is not just a symbolic act. It shapes the policies that determine how societies treat their most vulnerable members, how families are protected, and how communities coexist with one another. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.